Hello, and welcome everyone to this week's extended Q&A live stream. We've got something a bit different this week. It's going to be a little bit of a two-part. I should still finish around the same time at 6 o'clock, but we're going to be showing you both the Android client open beta features, and later on we're going to answer some of your questions about the raid-free rewards. So I am your host, Mod Sani, and for the first part of this stream, we've got mods Nin, Lenny, and a new mod on the stream. First time, Mod Gecko. How is everyone doing? Mod Nin, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. Old School's had a pretty good start to the year, I'd say. We've got some good momentum going, and then the Android open beta this week. Yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, I would agree. The start of this year has been pretty good, and we've got plenty of good stuff coming. Not everything we can share, but some good stuff. Cool. Lenny, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Been pretty busy, like Nin says, with the Android open beta coming up. Been a bit of a stressful ride getting here, but it's out, it's going, and people seem to be taking it really well. So very happy to see that out in everyone's hands, and eager to keep going on it and make it better.
Good stuff to hear. Yeah, I'm enjoying playing it, to be honest. It's good. It's not much improvement. So yeah, very good. And Gecko, how are you doing? First time on the stream. How are you feeling?
Oh, not too bad. Good to see some familiar faces with me on the stream, so yeah, feeling comfortable. Like Lenny said though, it's been stressful getting to the open beta, so I'm glad it's out and players have got a hold of it.
Awesome stuff. All right, well, we will come back to you in just a second. So first up, let's go through some announcements. So raids free rewards. The proposed rewards for Tombs of Amascut have been updated. You can find all the details on the changes to these rewards in the Tombs of Amascut Raid Rewards V2 blog. You can check it out and let us know your thoughts. AOB, our new Android client open beta is now live. Get signed up and try out all of the new features on mobile, including agility helpers, XP trackers, and much more. You can check out the known issues in there as well as a survey. So use that exclamation mark down below. And exclamation mark game update. This week's game update focused on improvements to Group Iron Man. We've updated player-owned houses, expanded storage, and implemented other quality of life changes to help your group out. And you can check out all of that info in the latest blog. And finally, exclamation mark Gazette. Posty Pete has arrived with the second Gillinor Gazette of the year, and you can read up on everything from the world of Old School over the last month in February's Gazette with that command. Awesome. Now, Mod Gecko, as per usual with any new mod that comes on the stream, we're going to give you a little bit of a grilling. So don't worry, the questions aren't too stressful. So yeah, first off, tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and what you do.
Oh yeah, so I'm Mod Gecko. I am a QA analyst working on the new client features. I've been around at Jagex for quite a while. July 2019 was roughly when I started, I think. I've jumped between this and another project internally, so I think I've been with the Old School team permanently since August 2020. So I've worked on all three leagues to some degree. I've been on Sins of the Father as well a little bit, but since I moved permanently, my main focus has been the new client features.
Awesome stuff. Yeah, some awesome stuff to be working on, definitely. So what's your experience with Old School or RuneScape back in the day? How familiar are you with the game?
In terms of the newer stuff, not very. I used to play the game before the evolution of combat. It was at 2012 time. My main memory of that is we used to go home from school and we used to jump into RuneScape, all log in. We'd go to my mate's player-owned house. We'd walk past his demon butler, go down to the parlour underneath, underground. We'd sit in front of the fire, and we would just do our homework together. And then once we'd done all of that, we would go and level our accounts, and that would be what we'd do for the night. That's like my main experience.
That's great. You're such a goody two shoes.
I was going to say it's so wholesome.
Yeah,
I would have.
We used to call it the
my homework
the math room.
aside.
Oh no, you got to do it together, man. That's where the fun is. I say fun, it's homework. It's not fun. But
Gaming, homework, and then probably more gaming. So that's if the homework even was done. To be fair, it's fairly naughty. So what's your favourite thing about the game then?
So right now it's the collection of the pets. So I was testing the other day and I got a Kraken pet, and like he's so small but he's so cool. Like, yeah, I just love having like pets follow me around in the game.
Nice. And what's your least favourite thing?
So this is from when I tested the initial Twisted Leagues, and it's Karen Favor. I can't stand it. It just does my head in. It's the one thing in the game that I've never liked since I first encountered it in testing.
I mean, definitely better now than it was on release. I reckon if it was still like it was on release, I wouldn't be doing Favor ever again. I would have just stuck to my main.
I think my first encounter with it was trying to increase the favor by doing the books in the library, and that just was not fun.
Yeah, I mean, some of those favor tasks can be pretty they're not the funnest of activities, but
Yeah.
Cool.
Lenny dropped his quest cape. Sorry, Lenny dropped his quest cape. He's needed to get it back for ages, but he hasn't. He just couldn't be bothered to do the what was it, Lovakenge favor?
I've
like,
finally
alright.
done it now. I finally got my 100% Lovacaine favor just to try and get my quest cape back.
I had to be like, sit down. We're gonna watch The Office and we're gonna get favor. We're gonna get your quest cape back. Need to do it.
That's definitely for me.
Which office though?
The American
US.
ones, of course.
Oh, okay.
Okay. There'll probably be some people who disagree, but yeah, I prefer the American Office, 100%. Lovacaine's always the one I leave till last, and it's always the one I'm like, I do all the other 4 in a row, and I get to the Lovacaine, and I'm like, nah, I'm gonna walk away from this. I'm gonna come back another day. Cool. So the main question we always ask all JMods, and the last one we normally go to is, if you could add one thing without a poll, what would it be? And if you could remove one thing without a poll, what would it be?
Okay, so for adding something to the game, I would add a gecko pet into the game, obviously, mod gecko pet. But what I'd do to do that is add a new island to the game where there's only animals like on the island, and we'd have a quest line where you've got to save the animals from humans being invaded. I thought you could tie this into like the Elven quest where Arianwin comes back leading the humans, wants to invade this island, and you just got to protect the animals. And the finale would be a boss against a huge gecko that's been transformed by like cruel magic, and that's how you get the gecko pet. That's my plan. So we'll see if the team likes it.
I mean, the wholesome streak is continuing with your answers, Mod Gecko. I'm really loving it. Any stray dog involvement in the quest?
See, I feel like we should have an island where every animal that you can see, if you can't talk to them, you can just pet them to some degree. Or maybe like, if it's a duck, you throw some bread. How about that?
I like that. I'm vibing with that a lot. Cool. Alright, what would be the one thing you'd remove then?
Again, this is coming from like the testing that I've done. But I would remove Safalan from the game. And it's really specific. But when I was testing Sins of the Father, and you get to the finale, he just sits there. You've gone through 5 quest lines to help this guy. You've gone through thick and thin with all these other people, and you get to crunch time, and the man just sits there and just watches you do it. And it just gripes me a little bit, so Safalan can go.
I'm not going to lie, I really enjoy how many JMods come onto it and there's like a specific NPC that just really gets on their nerves and they just want to like obliterate them from the game. So more of that, please, for any new mods that come on.
Let Mod Ed know and see if he'll just kill them off at the end of the quest line.
I mean, yeah, it's Mod Ed, of course. There's going to be someone being killed off, 100%. Cool. All right. Well, we would push Mod Gecko's Twitter here, but he doesn't have one at the moment. Maybe we'll get that sorted. Who knows? But yeah, thank you, Mod Gecko. Hopefully your first stream will be a nice, smooth one.
I did pick up on a question in the chat that I want to ask Mod Gecko.
Go on,
Why do you have a Christmas tree behind you? It is March.
It's not a Christmas tree. That's just Craig.
What can we have a origin story for Craig? I mean, I feel like there's significant backstory here.
So last year in my house, we didn't have a Christmas tree for whatever reason. So this year, when it came around, I was like, we need to have one. So I went over to B&Q. I found Craig. I thought, he's on sale. He's cheap. He's nice. I'll take him. He's nice and small as well, so he fits in this room. And after Christmas time, I thought, I don't want to throw him out. I'm quite attached to Craig, so he remains.
Again, the wholesomeness continues. All right, thank you very much, Gecko, and thank you for the feature appearance from Craig. Lucky to have you on, Craig.
He's here to stay, don't you worry.
Well, hopefully we'll see him in some future streams if you decide to come on again. But with that being said, I suppose we should jump into the first reason why we're all here, and that is to show you all the Android Open Beta features. So why don't we take it away?
Sure thing. So I will preface this by saying this is actually being demonstrated live on a mobile here that's just mounted in front of me, and it's not the easiest thing to use. So if this is a bit of a scuffed demonstration from me, that's going to be my justification for it. But here we have basically the Android beta that is now out in everyone's hands. It's pretty similar to sort of the demonstration that I sat here a number of months ago giving on the Steam client. A lot of the same features here with a few nice new additions. But the fact is now on mobile, you can take it on the go with you and play with these features out and about. So we're kind of in a nice little hub where we can see a lot of things in use. We can already see we've got, the true tile indicator, our destination tile indicator, things like that, sort of help make your navigation easier. Over here on the coastline, we've got our fishing spot indicators, so we can see what fish are available at a glance when you're running past, what types of spots they are. If we, chop a tree down, although I may have picked a better tree than a willow because it will take a little while for it. Soon enough, we'll get the sort of respawn indicators coming up, all the stuff that people are used to playing with on the Steam client, or maybe longer term playing with on third-party clients. Mine's just gone blank, sorry. One of the big things that people have been asking for a lot on mobile was the agility helper. So we've got over here all of our obstacles for the course are highlighted, making it a lot easier to see where you should be clicking exactly as you're running laps. And make it kind of a more easily accessible experience on mobile. So you don't need to be kind of fiddling around so much and clicking so closely. I will note there are a couple of things in this build that we've already noticed ourselves are a little rough around the edges. This is a development build that we're working with because we've got some new stuff in here that we'll get on to showing you shortly. So this isn't kind of ready for live build that we've got here. There may be a couple of problems here and there. One of the other big things that we've got is on the right hand side our XP tracker, where you can pop it out and take a look at what XP you're getting as you train your skills. Obviously we know that this may not be the sort of nicest way to present it on mobile in particular. It's kind of just taken from desktop and added in hovering over the right hand side of the game, which is something that we want to kind of look to address in a nicer way going forwards. We want to kind of chuck it away somewhere a little bit better so that it doesn't just push the rest of your side stones in out of reach from your thumb. But we just need to spend a little while longer sort of exploring that and seeing sort of what the best solution there is. In doing this, obviously, we've also got our kind of little helpers that pop up to show us how many laps we've got. If I go and find Spryer, the Slayer Master, and grab myself a Slayer task, that will instead pop up as our little info box in the corner. And one of the things that people might have sort of noticed throughout this demonstration so far is one of the recent additions to the client being the on-tap highlights. So if I tap this chest here, it'll briefly kind of pulse blue, show that you've interacted with a bit of scenery. That's the thing that you interacted with. And it can be really useful as well when you're kind of opening up a mini menu of things. I've got this goblin over here that I can see through the walls as well, which goblin it is I'm looking to interact with. if I happen to go down and highlight the chair for some reason, because I really want to examine this chair, it will highlight that instead, and kind of just make clear exactly what it is that you're interacting with in the world. We have, of course, left in the kind of feedback for just when you're clicking to walk somewhere, or tapping rather to walk somewhere, because we figured that sort of highlighting a tile in a very far away spot may not be the easiest thing to see to confirm that you are in fact running over there. Let's see what was on our list. I think those are kind of the core beats that we wanted to cover with the kind of features available in the beta. But the other big part of this is just we have a brand new mobile client here that's now in everyone's hands. Kind of the reason that this is a big beta rather than just we're putting these features out there is because this is running on completely different technology to what it was before. I suppose that's something that Nin might be able to talk more to.
Pretty long road getting it here. So like we've got, we have the old mobile client, which is based on the Java client on desktop. It's kind of that same kind of tech. We did a big port job of that over to C++, and that's what you got on Steam with the Steam client. And we've actually been able to use that same code base as well to bring the Android client. Soon iOS, soon Mac. Maybe in the future that'll also be Linux as well, but I'm not sure we've got any concrete plans for that. But yeah, so it's like a really good direction for us to be going. In that, if we make a change on one platform, we get it on all of the platforms. That's why we're able to bring all of these features over to mobile.
Yeah, so that's been a bit of a long journey getting here. One that the three of us have been on for a very long time now. So yeah, it's really awesome seeing this out in everyone's hands and actually getting some feedback on it, sort of how it is to play with it. Yeah, and I suppose one of the things that we're really keen to hear from people that are getting their hands on with it is there anything that's not so great about it? Is there anything that sort of pulls you back to the old client? Because obviously this is kind of a big learning process throughout all of this. We're adding a lot to the game in the form of sort of top-level interface features that, haven't been in the base game for the past, how many years now? 9 years?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a big change to get used to, and we want to make sure that we're doing it right and hear back from you guys on it.
Yeah, like this client is supposed to be a bunch of steps forwards, and it should be no steps backwards. We shouldn't be giving up anything to give you this client. It should have every feature that you have gotten used to, and it should also have all of the new ones. So yeah, give it a go. If there's anything that you don't like about it, let us know. And we'll try and fix it, because it's currently obviously in open beta. At some point it's going to replace the current mobile client wholesale, and we want to make sure that it's up to scratch before we do that.
Yes, please make sure to leave that feedback. We love looking at all of it, to be honest. We will be keeping an eye on it throughout the always.
Do we want to point people to where they can get it and where they can leave feedback and things like that?
Yeah, using !AOB, you'll be able to find everything you want from that. You're including the survey, which we have, that you can fill out and leave all your feedback, and has a link to the known issues. So yeah, !AOB. Cool. Is there anything else you guys?
There are.
We can move on to discuss some future things that we want to add. There's a couple of things that we can show off as well. If me and Lenny want to swap seats real quick,
Yeah.
do that.
Okay. I suppose bear with us a moment.
I want to see how quick this can be done. This is going to be quite interesting. So while we're waiting, Gecko, how's your time been with the Android Open Beta this time around?
It's been really good. It seems like there are far less issues this time around from the closed beta. We closed out, I think, something like 70% of the issues we found in the closed beta.
Nice. It's really, actually, yeah. That was a very seamless transition. Even on the back end, the names have been swapped. So.
Wow, nice. Yeah,
Right,
this
is
is like
everyone good?
You can hear me, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we can
okay.
hear you.
It's
Yeah.
like a mildly scuffed setup because we're in the streaming room. I was sitting on the couch. Remember the couch? It felt so good. But it's kind of in like a semi-maintenance kind of state. So so like that laptop that Lenny's on is like sitting on some box. It's great. It's great. A great time. But yeah, so you had to put me on the middle of an agility course, didn't you? So that I can't actually get off it. Thanks, Lenny. But yeah, there's a couple of other features that we're going to be bringing out relatively soon, and then over the course of the next few months, any features that we bring to the Steam client will also be added to these. So that's things like ground items. We're doing like loot tracking and some other things like that, and they'll be coming kind of over time. But in like the short term, I'm just gonna pop in the settings here, and there's four or five extra options that I've added here that I wanted to show off briefly. This top one is one that quite a few people have been requesting for quite a while, and it's the ability to change your long press time. So at the moment, your long press time to open up the mini menu, that's a solid. I mean, you can't actually see like how when I'm starting the tab, but it's like a solid. It's 600 milliseconds. That's more than half a second. It's really slow, and you can bring that all the way down to. God, I can't reach the 0 in this clamp. There we go. Yeah, you can bring it down to 200. I could probably set the limit even lower than that, to be honest, for the power users. But that's like, bam! Look at that. I can open it so quickly. That's actually, it just feels really good. If you're like trying to do Slayer and trying to see what items are on the ground, or you're trying to do some kind of skilling activity where you need to like kind of pick trade or something like that. Yeah, it's a lot better. And then below that, we've also added haptic feedback, and this one is really exciting. Probably I'm more excited than I should be about this. But when the mini menu opens, the phone vibrates a little bit, and it feels so good. And then as you move your finger over the mini menu entries, vibrates a bit. That's so good. And then you also get it anytime you do a red click action. You also get a little vibration. And the other one we added is when you pick something up in your inventory to drag around, when it kind of snaps, you get a little vibration on that. Trust me, it's really good. I can't wait to get that out. And then combine that with like the smaller long press time, combine it with these new highlights when you interact with things. It's actually like such a huge improvement for like the user experience, for lack of a better term. Yeah, so that was the other thing that we had ready to show off. Were there any other things that we wanted to discuss that might be coming soon?
I think that's it as far as the sort of showcase goes, but I believe there were a couple of questions that Modsani had from players for us.
I do indeed. Yeah, thank you for showcasing that, Nin. It looks great. I mean, it looks so smooth just looking at it, like the transitions. I obviously can't simulate the haptic feedback live on stream, but maybe just shake your monitor a little bit next time anything comes up like that. There you go.
Yeah, that's the trouble with showing it off. Like, because we're working remote a lot now, so when you try and show things off to people, it's like, you have to trust me. There's like a little vibration. Feels really good.
Awesome. Okay, so we've got a couple of questions. Oh. Yeah, so firstly, is there an estimated date for iOS?
So I don't believe
No.
we've got an estimated date.
Nope.
Soon TM is basically the answer. We're making a lot of progress on it. We can see it all coming together, but we wouldn't want to publicly state a date at this point in time.
Yeah, it's coming along really well. I want to say more, but like I also don't want to don't want to commit to anything that we're not confident on. But yeah.
Oh, awesome stuff. So yeah, soon.
Thanks
That's
for the
all we
question,
can say.
OSRS player.
Yeah, I don't know if that's their actual name we've taken from it, or it's just been redacted, so it might be a naughty player. I'm not too sure. The next question we have is from Public Director 8956. Are there any plans to add a menu entry swapper for mobile in the future?
So this is one that that we have discussed. It's something that I know third-party clients were doing quite a while ago, and at the time, we came along and kind of said, no, don't do that. It might be overpowered. I think our stance on that is like willing to change at this point. It's something that I'd really like to see, especially on mobile. It would be a huge quality of life improvement. Because, you know, sure, I can make the long press time shorter so that it's easier to access things in the menu, but like it's still kind of like a complex interaction to get to what you want to do. Yeah, so in my opinion, I would love to do it. Probably would have to go to a poll. It would also be something that if we do it, it would come to the Steam client as well. Yeah, that's.
Right. Thank you very much, Nin. The next question from Oracle Fresh: could we at some point be allowed to zoom out further and look top down, like how the camera plugin works in Runelite? Would work well with a new extended draw distance and make Zaya rune crafting way more comfortable.
That's something we didn't mention actually. Is you can increase the draw distance like, massively. Probably something we should have mentioned, but it's there.
Yeah, so far as sort of zooming out further and even going top down goes, it's not something that we've discussed in sort of recent times, but I remember sort of very rough conversations early on into development of the new client suggested our rendering technology wasn't very well suited to going top down as it currently stood. I'm not sure exactly what situation we're in with it now, but we had reasons to not want to do it in the vanilla client in the first place. Potentially something that we should consider revisiting at this point and sort of re-question, is it something we should be adding to the client? Because yeah, there's definitely places where I know people find it really useful to be able to play in that sort of way.
Yeah, I remember when we first added the like ability to zoom out further, because you used to only be able to zoom out to like this much. We added the ability to go even further, and just the way that the field of view looks, I found it quite jarring. Yeah, would be things that we could look at adding, but we don't have any plans at the moment. I think is where we're at.
Awesome stuff. All right, either another naughty player or OSRS player is getting 3 questions in this little roster of ones. This is one I've actually seen quite a lot, but what are the team's plans for portrait orientation mode?
Short answer is currently no plans for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something that we know there's some demand for it. It's a very significant amount of work that would go into it and make it actually user friendly and not just kind of scraping past as acceptable, and not something that we can just easily undertake for what currently seems like a fairly sort of minor benefit. I think Nin's kind of phrased it as he'd want it to be able to walk to the shop playing the game without, you know, having to two-hand it, looking down. But that's not kind of enough justification for the amount of work that needs to go into it just yet. Not something that would rule out, I don't think, but yeah, I wouldn't look too hopefully in the near future for it.
If anyone wants to do like a little mock-up in Paint of how everything could be organized on the screen, that'd be pretty cool to see.
Paint is the best interface tool maker, 100%. Cool. Yeah, I want to be able to hold my pint and play one-handed in. Well, next time we all go clubbing. That's my hope. So. Cool. The next question we have is from Milk and Cyril. Are there any plans to include self-made tile markers in the future?
Yes, there are. We have to kind of reorganize the interface a little bit to figure out how to actually make that like usable. You know, you don't want, if you just like kind of long press on a tile, you don't want it to appear every single time. And then maybe we could add something to the function button that would like make them appear when you have it toggled on, but the function button is just the worst thing in the world, in my opinion. It's so small and clunky. So yeah, there's a bit of shifting around of things on the interface I think we need to do first. But yeah, it's definitely planned.
Cool. Awesome stuff. The next question we have is from the real Fin4. Any plans on making Alkin as efficient as in the desktop version, make it so it's possible to assign the locations of the different tabs, thus making it possible to have magic and inventory on the same side?
Yeah, so sorry, Lenny, you want to go?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of like links in with the stuff that Nin was just talking about with wanting to shuffle things around, and also like I was saying earlier with the XP tracker wanting to kind of reposition that a little bit. In that we kind of just want to take some time to reconsider what the mobile interface does look like. We don't want to go changing it sort of drastically because obviously players have had their hands on the mobile client for several years now. We don't want to go and shake it up too much, but we may well look at some kind of like reorganization of the side stones and things like that while we're at it. Because yeah, we like alchemy is the example that comes up a lot, but there's other sort of times that players might want certain panels to be on the right instead of the left, or they might want all of them to be on the right instead of the left. We're not entirely sure. So we're kind of doing some investigation into that at the minute and seeing what we think looks like the ideal layout to be able to fully encompass all of these features, or all of these new features, while also sort of seeing how we can improve just the current status quo of where is everything on screen, how's that feel to play with.
Taking the current mobile UI and being like, okay, what game loops just don't work if you're playing on the mobile UI? You know, alking is just a lot worse than it is on desktop. There's other game loops where you've got to do a bunch of long presses and you've got to like keep rotating the camera and it's kind of fiddly, and because you can't really use the mini map to move precisely. And yeah, looking at like different game loops and figuring, okay, how can we adjust the interface to make those game loops more doable on mobile? How can we make the interface just kind of feel better to use for like more situations? Yeah, it would be really nice to do a refresh like that, and it is something that we're looking into.
Cool. Awesome stuff. All right. Third naughty player asks, are there plans to allow Bluetooth mice to work with the client in the future? I can no longer use my right click or mouse wheel on the beta.
Yeah, we're going to look to get some work done on that soon. So hopefully players will get their hands on that feature soon.
There you go. Soon. Yeah, that is it for questions. Is there anything else you guys want to say before we round off this segment?
Not really. Just check out the client. Go and download it. It's on the Google Play Store, and you can opt into the beta at some point. Modgecko, you'd know better than me.
Yeah. So if you head over to the Google Play Store, there should be an option on the store page for the game. If you scroll down, I think it's towards the bottom. Just hit the join button. You might have to wait 10 minutes, an hour. It takes a while to propagate, but one way to speed it up is to click the button to join the beta and then go and clear the cache for your Google Store. And then hopefully it should be 10-15 minutes and you'll just be able to install the open beta. You do need to be on Android 8 and above though. That's the important part.
Aside from that, I would like to say... Go on.
No, carry on, Lenny.
I would say, aside from that, I would like to say a big thank you to everyone that's already jumped into the beta and started giving us some feedback, whether that's through the survey, bug reports in the Discord, whatever it may be. It's been really helpful to see, sort of use it to help guide us in our next steps on it.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, you can find everything you need with !AOB. If you put that in the chat, you'll bring up a couple of links that should be able to help you out get started. So with that, thank you very much, Mods, Lenny, Nin, and first time on the stream, Modgecko. I hope you found it all right.
Yep. The people aren't too bad that I work with.
Thank you so much.
That's the most British way to describe colleagues, I think.
I can't give these too many compliments.
Yeah, it would be kind of weird.
With that, yeah,
it would be
just a little bit. All right, yeah. Thank you very much, all three of you, for joining me. We are going to take a very, very quick break just to swap over and get Mod Aiza on. Oh, apparently we can swap straight over, so no break. So yeah, we're gonna swap over to Mod Aiza. So yeah, again, thank you very much, Mod Lenny, Mod Nin, and Mod Gecko.
Yeah, cheers, guys.
So yeah.
See ya.
Look at that! What a seamless transition. Oh, Aiza, you are muted.
Hold on, I was just so shocked at how close up that is on my face.
It's weird.
No.
I've not been in a two-man bubble in so long. It is quite strange.
Yeah.
How are you?
It's been a while since I've been on the stream, to be honest. I'm doing okay though, thank you. I'm doing okay. How are you doing?
Yeah. All right. All right.
I gotta
Bit
zoom out a
longer
little
stream
bit. Hold on.
Zoom in more. It's fine.
No, no.
Just
Oh
this
my God.
bit. We just need this bit.
You just have to see a little bit more of my exposed room that's still not been finished yet. I'm sure the chat are gonna have plenty of fun roasting me about that, but anyway,
That's all right. It's a work in progress. It's fine. It's fine.
it is. That's what I like to call it. Also, for some reason, the light makes me look really ghoulish. Maybe I just am actually this uncoloured, and I need to get out more. To be fair, you know what? Actually, I say that I don't think I've actually stepped outside properly this year, apart from just taking the dog out in the garden or for a walk.
I've definitely been outside more this year than I have in the past, like the last 6 months of 2021. To be fair, like
My lifestyle is actually awful currently. I have no excuse. I've just been bad.
yeah. I think that's a CM thing, though. I think that's a CM thing. Maybe Mod Light is a bit
maybe.
different, but I know my lifestyle is not the best. So
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I do also have like this really bright white light pushed up against the wall to reflect back off me from like greenish coloured wallpaper that's about 50 years old. So I don't think that's helping the situation, but I don't have any other better lighting solutions for in here, so just deal with it. It's fine.
yeah, I've got one bad bulb that's surrounded up there. That is my only source of light, apart from the giant window. But it's too dark now, so that'll have to do.
No mind.
Cool. With that being said, yeah, you want to just give an insight on what you've been working on lately, since it's been a while since you've been on the stream?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it has been a while. Most recently, I've been working through the PvP arena and some of the PvP focused changes that the Curse team have been working through. So I've been kind of like handling, obviously, the feedback and changes. Currently going through the last round of kind of like feedback we got from the blog iteration. And you guys don't make it easy for me, I can tell you that much. It's been interesting, just the different comments that come based off different changes that you make. I'm sure you've experienced the same, Sani, dealing with raids, through the Tombs of a Massacre, which I'm sure we'll talk about. Otherwise, it's, I'm now like lead CM, so I fell into place just before the end of the year. So I spent a fair bit at the start of this year kind of just getting up to speed with things and how things are different with lead, and trying to get you and Light all ready and good to support this year of strong amount of content we've got coming out. So, yeah, that's about it.
Awesome. Well, you're doing a cracking job as lead, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, of course you're going to say that. You can't really say I'm doing a bad job, can you? Because, well, pay reviews soon, so,
I mean,
stay in my
I'm
good
definitely not
books.
saying it because of that. 100%. This is not a forced scripted thing that I've written in advance. 100%.
Yeah.
Right. I think we will jump straight in then. If you guys haven't checked out the blog, you can use !ToA rewards to check out the version 2 of them. But I think we should just jump straight into the questions. So, without further ado, the first one we have is from Vermold. They ask, so there still isn't a consumable generic common drop upgrade along the lines of the Avernic raid prayers. Is it too late to ask for an upgrade for a rune pouch of 4 rune slots?
Well, I guess they've just asked, so no. It's never too late. You can always ask. Is it too late to add it? I also don't think it is. Just before we answer the question with like a little bit more than that, well, no, sorry, I'll answer this question. It's never too late for feedback. And if there's obviously a large amount of demand for it, then we can consider potentially looking at that as a reward, either from Tombs of Massacre or other pieces of content, as an example. But I just wanted to ask you, Sonny, how do you want to play this, since it's just me and you, and obviously you've worked on the project a considerable amount. Do you want to? Should we take like one question after another, and then rotate them that way? Yeah,
that's fine. Yeah, we'll
right.
go one. I'll read one, you answer it, and then we'll just rotate back and forth. I think that's the best way to do it. Again, just to go on Fraser's point is it is never too late for feedback. Like, even if the content was coming out tomorrow, that feedback loop that us, especially in CM, are the core of our job. It's important to us, and we're always looking and we're always keeping an eye out. So yeah, whenever you got feedback, just let us know. We are we are listening, we are watching always. So
keep saying the right things, Sani. As I said, pay review's coming up soon. You keep it up. It's doing a good job so far.
Again, I'm just ticking it off my list, so I make sure this pay review goes through really well.
Yeah, you got a little checklist. Yeah.
Yeah.
Praise the boss. Make sure it sounds like I'm doing everything I need to. On that question though, like, for me especially, when I think about it, is does the rune pouch really need upgrading? It's already saving multiple inventory slots, and putting in an extra 4 rune slots in there, where's the majority of the benefit coming from if we were to do that? I think that's what I'd want to understand, as opposed to, for the question itself. It saves 2 inventory slots right now, because obviously you have 1 slot for the rune pouch, and then the rune pouch holds 3. What extra functionality do you get by adding in 4 slots, and how much content does that actually change? Because that's an entire separate question on its own, right? So I am assuming that the most common reason now that it gets asked is because of the introduction of the reworked Arceus spellbook with thralls. But then there are considerations as well when it comes to PvP, and maybe that's not a bad thing, and it can benefit both PVM and PvPers. So the standard spellbook becomes stronger because you're not taking up as much inventory space anymore. You've got more food, so you can survive longer. Is that a problem that we have to consider as part of it? So yeah, it's not just a simple case of like, oh, can we do it? Yeah, we can. It's what impact would it have? So
yeah. I think especially combining something like AUX and Tellies, that would make it a lot easier, something like that. So there's probably a lot of things, that extra slot would do. But yeah, as of this second, there's no plans to introduce a 4th slot in there. But again, if that's something you guys really want, and if it's not with this, maybe with some other piece of content that we have out in the near future, might be able to. But if it's something the players really want, it's definitely something to discuss with the team.
Cool. Right, Helium Hater, interesting choice of name, asks if the non-combat skills needed to make potions within the raid will be the same as raids 1/2, aka Chambers of Xeric or Fear of Blood.
Maybe. I mean, maybe. Honestly, it's just too early to say. The team is still going through the creation of the raid. So at this stage, it is... I can't tell you. I honestly can't tell you. We will have more information once we've confirmed things and tested them and everything coming out in a future blog. But as it stands right now, you're going to have to wait and see, I'm afraid.
Who knows? We might not even tell you until the content releases. Wouldn't it be such a travesty if some things were left to the element of surprise?
No. Maybe there's no.
I guess I can't understand it why though, right? People want to get ready, and in case they need to get skill levels, they might want to, prepare for it. But it's not really that big of an excitement. Like, oh, what level do I need to train to?
Yeah,
we'll see.
Exactly. We will see indeed. All right. The next question we have is from Red Storm 86. With Missouri coming out, does this mean Pernix isn't in the pipeline?
I think this order is like. The next question is easier for you, and hard. These are all harder for me.
Again, I should have put the harder questions first, just for pay review, to be honest. So
that's okay. Don't worry about it. I'll keep a note of that. I got it.
All right.
Mental note. So I think because I've not worked directly on the project, so I'm going to lean more on what I know from conversations with the devs in the team and those that have left some notes for us. And I think, from what I understand, is that Missouri kind of fits the exact same bill as what Pernix would. So it's not to say that Pernix wouldn't come out in the future. It could, but maybe it would be better as a cosmetic alternative, or different ranged armor entirely. So it just serves a different purpose for ranged as opposed to what Pernix did before. So it's not just straight up bringing out the next round of new best in slot range armor over Missouri. Maybe there's a utility niche that we could fill, or a specific area that isn't currently covered. Kind of really leaning on the players here. What do you think? Is there really a need for Pernix now if we've got Missouri? At least in the immediate future. It doesn't seem like it, other than the fact that it looked cool. But then the Missouri can also look really cool. So,
yeah. And we have yet to, I believe, if I'm right, we have yet to sort of tease what Missouri is going to look like. So, who knows? Who knows? I imagine it will look like a nice piece of armor, to be honest.
it's going to look awesome. Our art team's awesome, so I'd imagine it's going to look fantastic, and people will forget about Pernix entirely until a few years from now.
Cool.
Okay, so Plus VE asks if there is a reason, is there a lore reason, for the breakdown of Armadil like we have with Nex and Bandos with Torva?
So I saw this quite a lot during when V2 came out, the blog, and I actually went to the team and ModEd, as he is quite high up in lore. He knows a lot of lore and is, deals with a lot of that. Whereas Nex made more sense because they were God Wars related. There's no connection between these two pieces. Instead, it's the player taking them on themselves to combine the two pieces together to make something better. So no, there's no lore reason specifically, and I don't believe there will be. It is just the player being like, oh, you know what might be good if I put this bit on this bit, and might make a cooler piece of armor. I know it's not the most amazing bit. It would be cool to have some lore, but if it doesn't make sense, then it doesn't make sense, and we don't want to just force lore into it because of, just for the sake of it. So,
I think it's all right to have some parts where you as the character in game, or at least, are highly intelligent. Makes a difference from, at least in my instance, the real world. In game, I can at least pretend to be a very intelligent inventor, combining two pieces to make something even better. So, yeah.
I mean, players generally, as player story go, we're quite gullible, right? As the player goes, but that doesn't necessarily mean we're not smart or savvy. Just very gullible. I'm like, yeah, I'll do that for you. No worries. That sounds great. I'll do that. So
it is very much it does seem like a very much an off the cuff kind of thing your character might think of, right? Oh, this is a powerful piece of equipment, and this seems like it could work. What if I combine the two? It's like putting beans on toast. It just makes the toast even better.
Why would you say that? Why would you say that? It's nearly half.
Because I'm waiting for the
about
comments
food now.
I had to actually have some. I had some oats before the stream. I was absolutely starving. But anyway, besides the point, I remember Mod Druid was just commenting on how he could see me eating whilst I was behind the scenes waiting to be on the stream. All right, next question. Go.
Okay.
No, golden syrup oats. But yeah.
Cool. All right. The next question we have is BK Knight 2. Can we get a spot to build a mount for the scepter that gives it unlimited charges in our POH?
No, you can't, because the POH already has enough, and there are already enough unlimited charge things. I don't like the player in house, so I think probably as a collective, the team might not be against it, but it's probably not necessary, given the fact that the scepter isn't really used as frequently as it is for other teleports. So yeah. No, I think
I think it's the same thing, right? As a lot. There's some people out there that automatically ask, with a new armor set, is it going to be POH storable? Not everything.
Yeah.
Has to necessarily revolve around the POH, because as Aisa said, there's a lot you can do in there already. It's got a lot of utility in it, so we don't need to chuck everything that comes out into there to make the POH this more overpowered, area essentially.
I understand like why you might think about it because it is extra convenience, but for me anyway, when I just think how many teleports we have in the game that are already infinite, it just seems like so many, and it does just change. I don't know. It's just a bit of a moot point for me. I'm grumpy in regards to it. So probably the worst person to have had on the stream answering the question, in all fairness. So I'll just ask you the next one, Sani, and this is from RJM 0007, step up from 00. Is there a planned release date for Tombs of Amaska? I'd like to schedule some time off work for when it comes out.
Is it a step up or is it a step down? Maybe you have to rank up to 007 from 0007. No, just going to leave that there. In terms of release date, this year. That's all I can tell you. This year. I wish I could, but yeah, that's it, I'm afraid.
That's good enough. There we go. This year.
Cool. All right. Next question we have from Brett0727. With the removal of the 50 damage cap and that this update might still be some time away, would it be possible this part of the update could happen sooner?
I have no idea. Maybe.
I'm not sure when this is meant to come out. I would hope it would be before, just because that releasing the raid along with this on the side would probably be like, we'd probably want to focus on the raid specifically. So I imagine this would come before. I can't give you a time when it would come out. Would imagine, and I'll speak to the team about this and confirm it. If it's going to be before, how long before it's going to be. So,
is there any chance that maybe Sani you could explain on it? There's a few people asking, what do we mean by the 50 damage cap?
I mean, you might be better explaining it because I'm not too familiar with Corp. But
I also don't know if I'm lagging or if you're lagging.
I think it's me. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think the confusion that's probably there for most people is that it doesn't reference Corp in the question, and the 50 damage cap is on Corp, right?
Yes.
And it'll be removed from the Corporeal Beast.
Yeah. So I cleared the blog or the question. Apologies, but yeah, it's the 50 damage cap from Corp that will be gone if I'm not lagging and this is all coming through. I hope. Yes, and that will be all weapons as well. It's not just the Fang that will take that off. It's every single weapon that damage cap will be removed from.
Cool. That's a massive change to the Corp meta as well. But to answer the question, Brett, in case it was caught up in lag, it's likely that will happen before Tombs comes out. So yeah, you can look forward to that, but we can't give you a date as to when exactly it will be. Right, Murder Pura, they have asked in regards to Heka's spellbook effects. Historically, Tridents never cared about your spellbook, and it's being said that the Heka is meant to be the twisted bow / scythe of Tombs of Amaska. Players saying that for what it's worth. I don't think we've specifically stated it as that, but I can see why the comparison is drawn. Anyway, why does it not hit as hard as the previous then? The previous weapons can hit 80 in a 5-tick cycle, but Heka can't hit 160 in its 10-tick cycle. Raw damage is more appealing than 4 spellbook interactions, on which 2 will never be used.
Yeah, and I mean, I know I mentioned in the rewards vlog how there is this sort of idea, I think now, especially after 2 raids, that there are a quote-unquote chase item, right? Got the T-bow.
Oh, so it came from you, did it, Sani? Oh,
so I'm trying to find the actual... Okay. I'm trying to find the quote so I can tell it right. So the quote says, if you look at previous raid rewards, like the Twisted Bow and the Scythe Averter, they were unique, powerful, and most importantly, had that wow factor that made them worth the grind. So...
Ooh.
Yes and no. Like, yeah, I can see the comparison 100%. So that might be on me if that was like pushing you towards the raw DPS output that, you know, potentially stuff like the scythe and the bow can go from. But with this weapon particularly, it's a lot more interesting than just this does damage. Okay, I'm going to do it. I feel like the utility of this weapon, and it's hard to say because, especially from your guys' perspective, which is a shame. It's hard for anyone to justify how good or bad a weapon can be without actually getting their hands on it. Like, as many calculations you can do and how accurate they could be is one thing, but actually using the weapon, and not just how it will act against monsters, but how it feels to wield the weapon and to use it, is also something that should be taken into consideration. But yeah, for this, it was more of a case of not essentially just doing raw DPS output, but something that maybe was a bit more interesting, which is where the low life came from originally from Missouri. Obviously that was removed, but this does give a bit more utility to the weapon, I feel. I know that there are players out there that said that shouldn't be the case, but yeah, I think it's hard to judge, especially from your guys' perspective, how good it's going to be with the information we've provided, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there was one rewards beta. It's obviously changed since then slightly, and now what I've seen especially is just a lot of mixed opinions on the weapon. I think that there's a clear, like, vocal crowd that do think it's just not powerful enough. I'm not going to pretend that I haven't seen that, because I definitely have, but at the same time, I've not really seen any counter arguments as to what would make it better than what it is currently, other than just straight up add more damage to it, which obviously is something that we could do. But then what happens to every single other item out there that is used for magic? Do you want us to just kill off all other magic weapons in place of this? I know, like, to some degree that other items have done that, but there are still instances where you wouldn't use the scythe, where you would use a different melee weapon, for example, and same with range, where you would use a crossbow over the twisted bow. But if we just straight up added flat pure damage onto the Hecker, it would then just be the go-to default, just like the blowpipe was for ranged for so long. So yeah, I'd be really interested to see some actual suggestions on how the Hecker could be changed. One of the ideas that I threw out randomly was that the last hit of the Hecker, the slower, more powerful hit, what if that just had a chance to entirely ignore, like, defense calculations, so that it could be used against monsters that currently you can't use magic against, but then ones that you knew for a fact melee or range was always going to be better, you would still use melee or range, but there was a chance that you could use the Hecker. Something like that. Maybe that could give it that extra bit of utility and excitement and change that it doesn't currently have. Or the last hit had a certain damage range that it was going to hit, but it was always a guaranteed hit, so that you then use the Hecker as consistent, like, damage, as opposed to higher damage and healing that the Sanguinesti staff offers. Those are the kind of things that we'd be looking for. If you have those kind of suggestions, then definitely try and get them sent our way so that we can see them. Because, yeah, we do appreciate that it's not exactly what you've been expecting, but we also don't know what you are expecting outside of just pure damage. So, yeah, let us know, basically.
Yeah, it's like I've mentioned before. Oh, sorry, Aza. It's like I mentioned before. I was going to go to the next question, so you go. Oh, the best feedback for us, and this goes throughout everything, and I'll probably say it time and time again, the more detailed, the better. Because if you're just saying, oh, this is shit, and that's a fair opinion to have, right? It's a fair opinion to have. I'm sorry for the swears. It's a fair opinion to have, but the more detailed you give us in terms of feedback, the better it's going to be for us to understand where you're coming from and what you'd like something to move to. So yeah. I saw what you started as well. Don't think I didn't see you as the instigator of that.
I did nothing. All right, Forso have asked when we can expect to see concept art for the Missouri armor and the other rewards.
I can't give you a date, unfortunately. I wish again, a lot of these questions about asking for dates and things, it would be nice to give you some more concrete information. Unfortunately, I can't. But the art team have had a lot on their plate recently. They are coming out of it now in terms of like coming into different projects, especially, they were not having to spread themselves so thin. And with the inclusion of our newest member of the art team, Mod Sofan, should make that a little bit easier. So hopefully I will be able to share some concept art for it very soon. I can't say when, of course, but yeah, soon. I'm sorry, I can't give you anything more than that.
Hey, talking about concept art, it's not about the Missouri, but if anyone is interested in PvP Arena, I saw some very early concept art for the Calamity set alongside the headgear pieces. It looks pretty pogging, I must say myself, so excited to see how that continues to develop. And we've got work that we still need to do on the armor sets and the bonuses that they offer, but fingers crossed we'll be able to show you those as well in the next kind of like iteration of feedback that we put out. And don't forget that we will be having a beta for all of the rewards on the 16th of March. So keep an eye out, keep your date.
I was half expecting you to drop the image in just now. I was like, what? Is there something I don't know that's happening?
I haven't asked, so I don't want to just do that. I want to just make sure that it's all okay. Just thought I'd give a little teaser there into it.
All right. Cheeky. All right. Go on to the next question then. TM Toast asks, with the Mage Shield requiring a sigil, can you rework corpse drops to be similar to Nex, allowing for Iron Men to kill Corp with groups?
We probably can, but I don't think we're going to. Again, I'm probably the worst person to have asked for this question because I'm Mr. Grumpy Boomer over here now, but that's kind of like similar to saying I don't like having to farm for resources on my Iron Man. Can I just buy them from the Grand Exchange? Yeah, a little bit more of a drastic opinion, but Corp wasn't introduced as a group boss, whereas something like Nex was originally a group-based activity, and it was a backport. So we honoured the fact that it would be completable in groups, which means that you can do it as Iron Men. Chambers of Xeric, Theatre of Blood, they're group-based pieces of content, so you're able to do them in groups. For Corp, it's not. It's a solo boss. So, I mean, sorry, no, it is a group. It's a group boss, but like, you don't need to be in a group to be able to do it, right? So, it's been that way for so long now. To go back and change it, if anything, we should have made Corp groupable from day one, as opposed to going back and like when Iron Man was first introduced. But going on that now, I think is just a mistake. I think it's just a case of if you want to get those items and have that prestige of having them on an Iron Man, then you should respect the rules that are currently in place for Iron Man. I'm sorry if people hate me. It's just one of those. If there are issues in terms of like Iron Man availability for Corp that we've tried to address them over time, then that's something that I'm way more lenient with change and looking into. Because if you're not able to actually go and attempt to fight Corp solo, then obviously there's a problem there, right? And we can continue to look to address that. But in terms of just straight up changing it, now, I think we're just too far gone. And I'm sure there's people with that. There's an image, isn't there, of the train, and it's like, oh, would you let all of these people suffer just because everyone else had to suffer too? And there are so many instances where I think to that, and I'm like, you know what? That actually is so true. Why does everyone else have to suffer just because others did in the past? But I don't really think it applies to Corp here, because solo Corp now has an established meta. It is possible. It's got a number of grinds associated to it to be able to get to that point with the key items that you need to unlock. So there is that level of prestige. And if you were to make that available as a group with Iron Men, it just completely removes that. it's not even like a trade-off for something where, okay, you can do it as a group, but you have to now be more skilled. It just removes it entirely, and then you punish everyone else who has kind of done that grind already and had to put in that effort and work. It's too much of a considerable change, I think. So for me, I would say no. If it was like a huge demand for it, though, obviously, like at the end of the day, you are the players that pay to play the game, and you have a voice, and we can make changes based on that voice. But if you're asking me personally, I would tell you no. Sorry.
No, I mean, that's a fair. You gave a good argument for it, so you know.
Okay, I got a tough question for you now, though.
Go for it.
Looks like a long one. This is from
Okay.
0007 again.
Oh,
RJM
mate, he's back in
0007.
there. Okay.
Yeah, they have said, why does the ward still have the same defensive stats as a blessed spirit shield? Isn't the whole concept of this item sacrificing the spirit shield in exchange for more offensive power?
I mean, first off, yes. The whole point is to make the concept for the item is essentially the new best in slot mage offhand, which it does, right? Regardless of if it has the same defensive capabilities as the arcane spirit shield. Yeah, you could say it doesn't exactly make 100% sense to have it exactly the same, but especially, you know, the fact it gives you this offensive capability, it was never meant to be a trade-off of defense for offense. It was just meant to be an improvement on what's already there, which is exactly why you know, combining the two gives you the charged version, which then comes up to give you that offensive power that the spirit shield is lacking. Saying that, we've seen some more feedback from you guys, and I think this was over both versions of the blog, that was about the base version not being very usable and that it wasn't that great. So we've had a discussion over the last day, or last couple of days, sorry, that we were potentially going to tweak it, and I want to know what your guys' opinions are of this. So in terms of the offensive bonus, we want to cut the magic accuracy in half, so it go from 10 to 5. But instead, the base version would give you the 5% magic damage bonus that is on the upgraded version. With that said, we would tweak the defensive capabilities of it, so it is at least usable as a base item, and then you combine it with the sigil, and it gives you the defensive capabilities that the spirit that would have had. So now you have the new best in slot mage offhand. So yeah. Please let us know what you think of that. If it's too much, if it's not enough, if you don't like it, whatever it is, just let us know. But we feel like that might mitigate some things around the ward. But yeah. So yeah, let us know.
Okay, that's interesting. Very interesting. And that's just kind of like, obviously, fresh news just coming out now. Yeah, I wonder how people react to that now, because it's probably going to change a fair amount of opinions on both the ward, on changes to corp, and everything else that goes alongside that. So essentially, as you said, half off the base, just the base item, right? The base drop that comes from Tombs of Amascut, compared to the current blog format, it would have half of the magic accuracy, but it would gain 5% magic damage bonus, and then you would have a slight amount of defensive bonuses. But if you wanted the full defense bonuses of the ward, you'd then get that with the spirit shield combination.
Yeah, exactly that.
Cool.
So yeah,
I think that makes way more sense.
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I think it makes it way more sense, because then, like, you essentially avoid the issue of having like a ward that you just have no real reason to use until you've got the spirit shield at the same time. And especially for Iron Men now in this case, if you are unfortunate enough to not have got yourself a spirit shield, you could potentially be sat on this item that you've got from Tombs of Amascut for months, really, right? That just does absolutely nothing for you compared to other items. Whereas with this change, at least it gives you some damage bonus. And, you know, based on feedback, we can always look at tweaking the numbers. So maybe it's not 5% that it gives you, maybe it's a bigger upgrade in terms of damage percent when you like upgrade it to the charged version with the Spirit Shield, but at least making the ward a viable item to be used and have a reason for you to equip it compared to existing items already, I think is a good change.
Yeah, so I believe I touched on it in the last vlog, but forgive me if I didn't. It was never about making the base like a fully viable option. It was always about, you know, just having it there and just giving it something so you could equip it and you could use it, not exactly viable, where this at least gives a bit more purpose to the base version to allow people to, you know, if they haven't got the defensive capabilities, like you said, an iron, and they haven't got, you know, the sigil, they can at least benefit from the offensive capabilities that the uncharged ward can offer. So
yeah, I mean, even without the consideration of being Iron Man, right, or an Iron account, this is a benefit then too for mains, right? Because you then get a drop that has more value now, because you may have mid to end game players that want to have a magic upgrade for when they're off doing their Slayer tasks or bossing, that is now worth a considerable amount more because it gives them a max hit that they didn't have before. But they don't then have to go to the extent of having to buy both the ward and the sigil in order to be able to afford it. So it could it could likely end up making the ward more valuable as a base item as a result. And I don't think we would have ever had the same extent of issue that we do with, for example, Pegasians with the Ranger boots. You know, the Pegasian crystal is a fraction of the cost in comparison to Primordials because that's pretty much tied to the Rangers. But with the base item being useful in its own right, avoids that entirely regardless of the fact. So yeah, I just saw a comment actually just from one person on here, just commenting about how the base scythe isn't very good compared to the charge, so I don't get why this mage offhand needs to change. I think it's completely different. It's like comparing an apple to an orange, because the base scythe,
going to say
in
the
order
exact
to charge
same.
it, yeah, you only need to get, you know, a resource that comes from quite commonly from the content that you get the scythe from anyway, and then some blood runes. It's not like you are having to hunt out for a separate drop that comes from an entirely different area of the game. So it's very likely that on your grind towards getting the scythe, that you'll have accumulated some blood vials and you'll have some blood runes that you could buy from a shop or, you know, just craft yourself. Whereas a big difference when you're looking at a rare reward coming from a raid that then requires another rare reward from an entirely separate piece of content. So hopefully that kind of explains why, at least I feel, that the base item should have a little bit more power than what it currently did.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we can go to the next question, I guess.
All right. So from play, hopefully, please let us know though what you think of that. I know it's very fresh news, but yeah, hopefully just let us know. We'll be keeping an ear out. Play OSRS. Our stat renewal potion seems okay. But what about prayer renewal potion? This could introduce a new seed drop.
A new seed drop. You know, that's actually something that we've not seen for so long now. That apart from with the Hesidius and Korend work that we did, right, when we brought out the Kebos Lowlands, that introduced a few new tree seeds, but we haven't had a new herb seed for a very long time. It could be interesting, I think, to some degree. I wouldn't mind seeing how they would work and the kind of things that they would require, at least.
Yeah, it's an interesting
Simple
idea.
answer.
Yeah. Potentially, I don't know if it'd be something we do for this raid, but you know, who knows? There's still time to make changes, but you know, we'll see. You want to do the next one, Aza?
I can ask that. Look, the tables have turned now. You've got the hard ones.
Yeah, I'm sticking to the plan. I'm not gonna throw you under the bus now. Like
you can if you want, because I'm fine to answer this one, but we'll both talk about it anyway.
All right.
Saddam's Zucchini has said, I still don't really understand what the potion is for, and they're referring to the stat renewal potion here. Why not just introduce overloads all at once if you're keen on doing so eventually?
So, I just want to premise that overloads are very, very powerful, like extremely powerful. And if we introduced them now, it would probably change how most PVM is done in the game. Something that we potentially could have explained, I could have explained, sorry, a bit better in the latest blog, which is we do have another update on that. I will go into a bit more detail on, especially with the stat renewal potion, because that base was meant to be the sort of beginning of us slowly introducing an overload type potion. Not to say we do exactly how it is in something like Chambers of Xeric, but this was meant to be one of the components for that. So yeah, it's it's not that we don't want overloads in the game. It's just right now we feel like it would change a lot if we introduce them. And is that something we're okay with? Maybe it's another we have to go back to that discussion if it's okay. But yeah, right. I think when we originally put this out, it was a case of we didn't want to just jump in and say like, here's an overload type thing, go ham. But maybe we look back in that conversation, because I know there's been a lot of feedback around the stat renewal potion specifically, how there's not a lot of use for it, and it was meant to be a niche case use. Just to throw that out there, the whole point of it wasn't meant to be this over the top powerhouse potion. It was meant to be something that was the building blocks for something else. But yeah,
I think that's an important distinction to make as well. That, like, at the end of the day, power creep is a real thing, right? And we've just done a fair bit of work last year to try and curb power creep with the blowpipe, and we're looking at tier rebalancing still. And I kind of understand why a lot of people are probably out there asking for overloads, just because there hasn't been this huge influx recently of new PVM based items, aside from like the new introduction of Next, but none of it has been really massively game changing, right? It's just been upgrades to existing things that are available, a bit more melee strength, a little bit more range strength and accuracy. But if we were to just bring out all the new armors that we have from Tombs of Massacre and then suddenly add in overloads too, we are looking at changing the entire dynamic of how PVM works, and every aspect of combat in Old School works with one update. And that might not be a healthy change to make. So yeah, to re-echo what Sani said as well, it's not like we're against it, it's just we don't feel like doing it all at once is a good idea, and introducing it slowly is probably a safer option for us. I think as a player, I never really want to hear that you have a reward that's coming out that's just not really meant to be great. It's just a reward that's a little bit underwhelming, so to speak. But at the same time, like, not everything that comes out has to be absolute best in slot all the time and fill every, or replace what exists already. They can fill niches. And I do think there will be instances where stat renewal potions get used. We'll just have to see what they are. And it may still be that we want to make changes to them before Tombs of Massacre comes out as well. So we'll still be seeing feedback. But I think the introduction of overloads is probably a conversation that we will avoid for the immediate future, and continue with the premise of, yes, we'll probably look towards something like it in the future, but it will be a slow progress rather than in the case of one update. Because I just don't think we need them, honestly. We've got Divines now, which act a little bit differently. I remember a lot of people commented about Divines when they first came out and said that they were useless and that they wouldn't be utilized because they don't boost you higher. What's the point in them? And now everyone uses Divines where you go. So yeah, it also offers us the opportunity to introduce content that can then be balanced around the fact that things like stat potions exist. I fully appreciate that also sounds a little bit lame, that we bring out a reward that might not have a huge use now, but might have a use in the future. But the alternative is to kind of like bring that out with that content anyway. And what's to say that Tombs of Mascot might not, it might need you to have stat renewal potions. Who knows? But if they're there in the game, you as players can see them, you can think about use cases, you can suggest content ideas for us. We as players and as staff members and developers can think about how they're in the game currently, think of use cases that they might become effective in, also knowing that you understand how they work and you've got a chance to use them in game, knowing how many of them are available, how fast they come into, etc. So yeah, it's more to it than just simply adding in a reward that's not super useful right now. It could be.
Cool. All right. Yeah. Thank you, Aiza. Since it's coming up to 6, I know we've got to shoot off very, very soon. I'm going to put in one more question, which is from Fun Macaroon. Why is it not macarons? They're so much better than macaroons. 3907. How do you feel about the current state, the harmonized orb? With the upcoming mage offhand and staff, it will essentially become obsolete since the orb needs a tomb of fire to be useful. Tome of Fire, sorry. Are there any plans to buff or make adjustments to this item, considering it's rare? It's the rarest item from an upper end boss.
Yeah, this is a very popular topic, right? It's been brought up since the very first blog that we released for Tombs of a Mascot. I would say that personally, I think that we do need to consider looking at the harmonized orb and how that could be made a little bit better. Not because of the fact that we're bringing out the Hecker as a potential reward if it passes, but just as a baseline anyway. I think for how rare it is and how expensive the item is, it's just not reflective in terms of its strength in some situations. There was a suggestion that came in from one of the devs, so I'll read out what theirs was in terms of how they might look at buffing it. And that is by making it so that we introduce elemental type weaknesses to NPCs. So essentially evolving the game so that NPCs have weaknesses to different elements. And then having the harmonized orb as one of those ways to, sorry as well, I think Woody's a little bit excited. It's his dinner time in 2 minutes, so I think he's hungry. Yeah, so that could be one way to introduce strength without just straight up having to buff it. Hold on 1 second.
I mean, Woody is a featured guest at this point for any stream you're on, Aiza, so it was bound to happen at some point.
Yeah, and then just some other words that I've got here from the dev as well. They mentioned that harm isn't exactly a stat stick that's becoming worse. It's just what it offers is very unique and distinct, which just doesn't feel overly useful in the game right now. So yeah, the other part of it is, should we constantly buff items, old items especially, to keep them in relevancy, or is it okay to just let some things not be as good and they can die off as the game evolves and changes? And then finally, the other suggestion, I realize I've harped on a bit about this one now, is that I think this was also mentioned the last time we spoke about the harm orb, was that it could be changed to, for example, make the spells cast with the staff 1 tick faster. So that could be an idea, but then would we have to consider limiting that to only the standard spell book? Because 4 tick barrage sounds ungodly powerful in so many instances, and it would just yeah, I don't know. It worries me a little bit to just think of the potential for it. But we could look at giving it utility as the kind of purpose that it has in the game, or as we mentioned, elemental weaknesses.
It's something that Magic has always been better at than the other combat types, is utility. So I think utility would be a good way to go. But it's in a weird place, right? The harm. It's in such a weird and unique place. There he is. There's Woody. Okay, that's it. That's made my live stream now. So yeah, it's definitely a bigger conversation to be had. It's difficult to know where we go with it, but it's definitely worth having that discussion. and something we will probably talk about as a team. So yeah, if you have any, like we have said of all the other suggestions we put out today, if you have any detailed suggestions, let us know. We'd like to know what you guys want. So yeah, with that said, and Woody finally being featured on today's stream, thank you, Aiza, for coming on for the second.
You're welcome.
part
Sorry
of
for
the
being a grump
Q&A.
and probably annoying a lot of Iron Men out there. I do apologise.
Nah,
Yeah.
it's all good. It's all good. Well, we will quickly go through the announcements then, and then we will wrap up. So, ToA rewards. The proposed rewards for Tombs of Amascut have been updated. You can find all the details on the changes to these rewards in the Rewards V2 blog. Check it out and let us know your thoughts. With the updates we've made today, I will hopefully have just a couple changes with it in the next day or on Monday. But yeah, so stay tuned for that. AOB, our new Android client open beta is now live. Get signed up and try out all of the new features on mobile, including agility helpers, XP trackers, and much, much more. You can find the known issues, news post, and the survey with that command. Game update. This week's game update focused on improvements to Group Ironman. Woody a Group Ironman, I imagine. We've updated player
Didn't like that
houses.
announcement, did it?
He's a UIM, you know he's a UIM. Expanded storage and implemented other quality of life changes to help your group out. Check out all the info on these in our latest blog. And finally, Gazette. Posty Pete has arrived with the second Gillinor Gazette of the year. You can read up on everything from the world of Old School over the last month in February's Gazette, including a lovely article by Mod Ed about quest porting, which also features a survey. So go and have a read, fill that out, and let us know. Yeah, that is it from us. Slightly longer stream than normal, but I think it was worth it for both parts. Aiza, do you have any last words?
No, not really. Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure to be back on the stream. Maybe next time I'm on. No, I was going to say maybe next time I'm on, the background will be a bit cleaner, but that's a lie. It's not going to be. My focus is downstairs currently. I've still got a living room to finish. So, yeah. Thanks for the questions, chat.
Just put pictures of Woody along the wall.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be fine.
To be honest, I actually did get. I pulled out my green screen out of storage a couple of weeks back. And I was going to set it up, but I just didn't have time. So maybe next time you might see me in like the Blue Moon Inn or something like that. I may even just like chill in the middle of Varrock Center on a live world, and you can all come and run around, and we'll have that as the background instead.
Yeah, that's not going to be misused at all.
No, absolutely not. But yeah, just again, thank you for having me. Thank you, chat, for the questions. For the points that we've raised, if you do have specific feedback, then go and at us on Twitter. You can see our handles just down below, so feel free to at either myself or Sani. Or try your luck on Reddit, create a thread, black background, yellow text, add a few images in there, a few arrows and stuff, and you'll probably get some nice karma in the process. But in reality, you know, there's a lot, obviously, of things that are on offer at the moment across the entire board. It's not just Tombs of Amascut. We've also got PvP Arena. We've just recently closed up a poll, so yeah, we appreciate the fact that there's just a ton of information being thrown at you and a lot of things to be considering. So we'll get there. We always do.
Yeah, we will. We will. And yeah, with that, yeah. Again, thank you, Aiza, for coming on. Thank you to mods Nin, Lenny, and Gecko earlier on. Thank you to all the mods in chat, Mod Druid behind the scenes. And thank you to you, of course, for watching. And as always, we will be here next week, and we will see you then. So, goodbye.
Bye.